All right, and we are live. Good morning, real closers. We are back again. Not on Monday. Monday was Memorial Weekend, Memorial Day. We weren't able to make it on Monday for a power hour with Gustavo from PowerISA, but we're here today, and we're going to talk about something you may be interested in. So, how do you get listings in a shifting market? So, Gustavo, why don't you tell us a little bit more about that, and what can we do to get more business?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much, Roberto. So, hope everyone had a great Memorial Day weekend. I was with family, went to the movies, had a lot of fun that day. But we didn't do power hours. So I'm glad we're getting a chance to do it. Thank you so much for the group. And it's a topic that's on everybody's mind, right? Is the market shifting? Is the market the exact same? The first thing I want to say is that you should keep an eye on the national trend. And the national trend is clear, right? We're seeing deacceleration. We're seeing things slowing down a bit, but that doesn't mean that we're in a buyer's market. I want people to understand that, right? If things are shifting, this whole process might just be a shift from a red hot seller's market to more of a normal seller's market, right? Where we have more than, I think in December, guys, we hit something like a month of inventory for the whole country, right? Within a month, there'd be no more homes to sell if we were on the pace that December had, right? So again, that's where we're coming from, right? So we might be shifting into just a little bit more of a normal seller's market with more inventory and less bidding wars, or the bidding wars are going to have 50 offers. In Seattle, this was last year, 50 offers on a property, 60 offers on a property. We were seeing that a year ago, right? We're seeing that right now, or we're seeing less of that right now. So do not confuse market shift with collapse and market crash, and we're suddenly in a buyer's market. This is a spectrum, guys, right? It's a spectrum. It's not on or off. This market is definitely, we're seeing deceleration. We're seeing less aggressiveness in some of these markets. We're seeing California is a huge market, one of the hottest ones in the country. We're seeing more price reductions and more days on market. That's it. And it's important for people to understand that, right? And know your numbers locally. Use the MLS, use Zillow if you want to, and figure out how many homes reduced their price that day. You can figure this out on a daily basis, right? Keep track of this. What's the days on market, like average for this month, this week, right? The last few pending listings. What are those days on market? Keep track of that because you'll know the pulse of the market. That being said, there are opportunities in every market. As the market cools down a little bit, right? I don't see it going into a buyer's market anywhere near that yet, but I am seeing it cool off. And that is a good sign if you want to get listings. That's actually a good thing, right? Because and this is something that if you're a real estate agent, you got to listen to this. If a market is more balanced, your value becomes higher. Okay, I want people to try to tattoo that on their arm if they need to. In a more balanced market, the services of a professional real estate agent, become more valuable to sellers. They become more valuable to sellers because the homes aren't flying off the shelves anymore, right? It takes some effort. I've seen posts in Real Closers and other Facebook groups I'm a member of. At first, it was a new construction agent saying, guys, buyers aren't flying through the doors anymore. What do I do? They don't know how to generate buyers. They've never had to. They're asking these questions, right? And you're going to see those questions happen all over the place. Hey, I saw posts this last 30 days. Hey, home isn't selling. What do I do? They don't know what to do if a home doesn't sell the first weekend. Guys, this is where the professional real estate agent is necessary, is required. So you've got to double down on what can work. And also another thing to understand, in a shifting market, any kind of shift, you cannot just rely on one lead source. If you're a referral and recommendation agent that relies on your database to make, that's awesome. But in a shift, you might go to zero for the next 3 months if the market is shifting in your area, okay? People are uncertain. Also, summer's coming up. That never helps either, right? People are on vacation. So it can be a lean next few months. So you've got to make sure you've got more than one leg on the stool, right? So you've got to make sure that that is a little bit more balanced. You want to have at least 3 legs on there. And what I recommend is to have a truly balanced business. You should have one leg on the database, past clients, sphere of influence. You should have one leg in the internet lead generation space, and you have to have one leg that's prospecting based, okay? One leg in each, because the moment the market shifts and one of those lead sources is having a tough time, you got to rely on the other two, okay? You have to rely on the other two. So what do I mean by that? I'm going to hit them real quick, right? A couple minutes each. Internet lead generation. If you're not on Facebook, well, you're on Facebook because you're watching this. And so I know you're on Facebook. You have a Facebook account at least, right? But you've got to be using it to generate motivated buyers and motivated sellers. And the most effective way to do that from one day to the next is through ads. And if you don't know how to use Facebook or Instagram ads, learn how to do it, right? And if you don't have time to learn how to do it, I hope because you're too busy, hire a marketing agency to help you break into that lead source, right? Because it will balance your business. When you're talking about being prospecting based, guys, check your MLS. We're doing this June 2nd. Check your MLS for the last 7 days. Check how many listings expired in the last 7 days. End of the month, May, early in the month, June, always around the end of the month is where most of the expired show up. That's just the way it works, guys. Most of them show up. So it's important to understand, more listings expired this last 7 days than the same time last year, probably more than the same time 30 days ago, okay? More listings expired, okay? So understand that. As the market becomes more balanced, you're gonna see expired listings come back. Whoa, that's amazing. It's an opportunity, guys. It's an opportunity to talk to these potential sellers. They misread the market. They might have been advised poorly, maybe. They were not prepared. You need to call them up, gauge their motivation, and if they actually want to sell, you can tell them what they need to do to sell in this market. And that has not been true for months and months and months. Expired listings have been really challenging. In a really hot seller's market, they're just going up and up and up. A listing expires, there might be some serious issues with that listing, guys. Not so much in a shifting market. So expired list, I have not been harping on expired, Roberto, for the last 18 to 24 months. I've not been making content about them. I've not been promoting them. Call expired, it's a great opportunity because it's been on hyperdrive, right? The market's been crazy. As the market starts to cool down a little bit, right? From white hot seller's market to regular seller's market, I'm going to start talking about expireds again, because you have to always be prospecting for the market of today, not the one from 5 years ago. 5 years ago, expireds were amazing, guys. I did 22 listing appointments in 1 month, just calling old expired listings. 22 attended with motivated sellers, right? So trust me that I know expireds. But I've known that for the last 24 months, it's been really challenging. I get it. I understand it, right? That is about to change, right? So understand that, see that. Keep your eye on those for sold by owners, guys. The days on market are going to start to pile up. They're going to be shocked. What's going on? My neighbor's home sold in 2 hours down the street. They did FISBO. What's happening? It's again, don't gloat with that. I mean, I'm not saying to make fun of them. I'm saying that's just a real comparison that can happen. What happened? What's going on? And they're going to need help. They're going to need advice. They're going to need someone that knows what they're doing to go in there and tell them what they need to do to get their home sold. Every Monday, yourself, your ISA, someone on your team should be hitting up every active for sale by owner listing in a 15-mile radius and asking them how it went that weekend. Did they get any offers? Are they still on the market, right? Are they ready to get it on the MLS? Are they ready to hire a pro to get it sold? Not in an arrogant way, not in a pushy way, not in a salesy way. You're checking in, right? At the very least, follow up with these FISBOs, because guess what? They're also going to start to do price reductions, and they're also going to accumulate days on market, right? So I think, I guess in a nutshell, as the market gets cooler, as days on market accumulate, as price reductions start to happen all over the place, you're going to get more motivated sellers out there, right? You're going to get people that are going to be more reasonable with those expectations. And the advice of a professional agent, a pro that knows what to do in these kind of situations, is going to become way more valuable. Remember, database, internet leads, prospecting. A balanced business is not just going to survive any kind of a shift. You're going to thrive in the shift, okay? You're going to thrive in the shift. Gus, but I'm going to do the devil's advocate here. Gus, but there's going to be less transactions in a shifting market. We might not see 6.12 million homes sold. That may be, right? I don't know what's going to happen in 2022. You might see less transactions, but if you have a balanced business, you're going to get your unfair share of those transactions, right? We might go to 5.5 million homes sold this year. Oh no, what do we do, right? Guys, it's 5.5 million homes sold, right? Yes, it is a reduction from 2021, but 5.5 million homes, that would still be the top year in real estate sales for the last 100 years, okay? So just put that in perspective, put it in perspective. And if you have a more balanced approach, you're gonna get those deals. Get your unfair share, balance it out, because guess what? Sellers are gonna come back down to earth and they're gonna start to be more reasonable starting.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know what? It's funny that you mentioned that shift, right? Because you know, for the very first time in the last 12 months, I've seen a listing on social media, you know, within a few days go from 740 to 699.99. And I was like,
absolutely,
okay,
absolutely. And guess what? Actually, I love that example, Roberto, because guess what? That's the only price reduction that matters, because they are now available to buyers in the 5 to 7 range. They weren't before. They're like, we're at 740. Well, whatever reduces to 745, 735, 725, it doesn't make any difference. The same buyers are going to see you. I'm glad that listing that you're mentioning, a pro went and said, if we're not going to drop it at 699, don't drop it. We're not going to sell it. And they dropped it to go down to another category of buyer, right?
right.
It totally makes, I love that. It totally makes sense. And if you look, do this on, I mean, I'm not a fan of Zillow, but do this on Zillow, open up listings that had price reductions in the last 30 days, the whole, in California, any city, essentially any big city in California, the whole screen's going to turn red. These listings with price reductions in California are everywhere, everywhere. And that's why it's so important to see this locally. California is a little bit ahead of the rest of the market because it was so hot, like blazing hot, because not everywhere is different. Washington State, there's not that many. Just again, don't take my word for it. Go on your local, if you don't have MLS access in Washington State, go to Zillow and sort by and look at listings, price reductions last 7 days, last 30 days. Look at it, right? There's a big difference. There's a big difference. So all of these things, you have to bring them down locally. And I think I saw a survey from NAR for April. Arkansas is the one state that saw more people buying homes in April than last year. It's one state out of 50, okay? One state saw more activity. Everyone else, 49 states, saw the same activity as always or less, okay? It was probably one of the first months where just only one state saw increased buyer activity, increased buyer traffic, okay? And we have a lot of software tools that show us this. Thank you to Showing Time, to all those different tools. We can track this really precisely. How much buyer activity are we seeing every single month? And there's definitely something going on. There's definitely something going on. What I want to tell folks is do not buy into the sky is falling fallacy, guys. There's nothing indicating that. Not right now, not in the foreseeable future. That's not what's happening. Calm down, breathe, and get down to business, making sure you have 3 legs on that stool.
Absolutely, man. That's really good advice, especially too for buyers. I mean, if you have more buyers that are going to be out there looking for homes, that means lenders also are going to have a lot of business. And, you know, a lot of MLOs have been laid off.
More buyers are going to get their offers accepted, Roberto. It's like, it's not going to be you against 58 other people. Again, every market has its pros and cons. If it's a seller, if it's a buyer, if it's a more balanced, everything has pros and cons. One of the pros that I see is buyer fatigue is real. It's been a terrible last 24 months to be a buyer. It's been awful, like the worst, right? The worst. I think a more balanced market is going to help alleviate some of that pressure, some of that pain. And I think that's one of the good things for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, man. Thank you so much for being here today. We're going to come back. We're going to come back Monday for a power hour.
There'll be a power hour on Monday. You know, it won't be live. Won't be live. So I'll be out of town, guys. I'll be on vacation with the family, going to Disneyland. Woo! But you know, I want to make sure we'll have some content for you. It'll be good on Monday. Don't worry. We'll see you same time, same place starting next week.
All right, Gustavo. Have a good one, and we'll see you next time. We'll see you Monday.